Have you noticed that as you grow spiritually, some things no longer feel the same? Certain habits, certain attachments, even certain people begin to fall away. It is not by accident. It is the universe guiding you toward awakening. But here lies the truth. Awakening is not only about what you gain, it is also about what you release. Today, we will uncover the 7 things spiritually awakened people slowly quit. Not out of force, but out of wisdom. Stay with me and discover if you too are being called to this path. The path of awakening. Awakening is not a sudden explosion. It is not a dramatic shift that happens overnight. It is gentle, subtle, like the rising of the sun on a quiet morning. At first, it is only a faint glow on the horizon, and then, slowly, light spreads across the sky. In the same way, when a person begins to awaken spiritually, it is rarely loud. It does not come with applause or fireworks. It comes in silence. It comes in the small realizations that whisper to the heart. It comes in the moments when you begin to question, why am I here? What truly matters? What am I holding on to that no longer belongs to me? You see, spiritual awakening is not about adding more into your life. It is about letting go. It is about peeling away the layers that cover your true self, the false identities, the endless chasing, the masks you wear to please others. When you awaken, you begin to see much of what you thought was important is not. Much of what you fought for, defended, clung to, is only illusion. And slowly, gently, you begin to quit these things. But here is the truth. Awakening cannot be rushed. It cannot be forced. Just as the flower does not bloom because you pull on its petals, awakening unfolds when the time is right. And so, those who walk this path do not drop everything all at once. They quit slowly, patiently, step by step, like a snake shedding its skin, like autumn trees releasing their leaves. The process is natural, necessary, and deeply beautiful. This journey is not about perfection. It is not about becoming something new. It is about remembering what you already are, a soul, a being of light, connected to the whole. And so as you awaken, you start to notice a quiet inner wisdom guiding you. It whispers, this no longer serves you. Let it go. It nudges you away from the heavy and toward the light. And though the mind may resist, though fear may whisper, but what will happen if I release this? The awakened heart trusts. Every person who begins to awaken walks this same path, the path of releasing, of letting go, of slowly quitting the habits, the illusions, and the chains that once defined them. Today, we will walk this path together, and I will share with you the 7 things spiritually awake people let go of, not all at once, but slowly. So listen with your heart, for this is the beginning of your own awakening. The weight of the past. When the spirit begins to awaken, it first notices something that the ordinary mind often ignores: the weight of the past. Not the past as history, but the past as chains. Many people live today while dragging yesterday. They replay old mistakes in their heads. They relive betrayals, regrets, and losses as if they happened just a moment ago. And in doing so, they carry a burden that was never meant to be carried for so long. Pause here. Feel this truth. The past has already dissolved into nothingness. It exists only as a memory. But when the memory is fed again and again with attention, it becomes a shadow that blocks the light of the present moment. Ask yourself, why do I keep turning back? Why do I return to the same painful story? Why do I reopen wounds that life already tried to close? The awakened person begins to see the answer. It is because the ego finds identity in pain. It says, this is who I am, the one who was hurt, the one who failed, the one who was betrayed. And as long as you keep repeating that story, you keep strengthening that false identity. But awakening whispers, you are not your pain, you are not your past. Let me share with you a simple image. Imagine holding a glass of water. If you hold it for 1 minute, It is light. If you hold it for 1 hour, your arm begins to ache. If you hold it for 1 day, the pain becomes unbearable. And yet the weight of the glass never changed. What changed? The time you chose to hold it. This is the weight of the past. The longer you carry it, the heavier it feels. So what does the awakened one do? They do not force themselves to forget. Forgetting is not the way. Instead, they release attachment. They see the lesson, they honor the experience, and then they set it down like the glass of water. Remember this, every moment you cling to the past, you sacrifice the present. Every time you return to old pain, you abandon the opportunity to create something new. Life is calling you to move forward, but your hands cannot reach for the future if they are still holding yesterday. Breathe deeply now. Feel what it means to let go, to say, yes, it happened. Yes, I learned. But now I walk free. This is not weakness. It is not denial. It is the highest form of strength. It is the courage to no longer let dead moments control your living breath. The awakened one does not carry their past like a prison. They walk with light steps, unburdened, because they have learned the sacred art of release. And when you release the past, something extraordinary happens. The present opens like a flower. The air feels lighter. The heart beats freer. And for the first time, you realize you were never meant to live chained to yesterday, the illusion of control. One of the greatest struggles of the human mind is its endless need to control. We want life to obey our plans. We want people to act according to our expectations. We want the world to bend in the direction we choose. And yet, what happens? The more we try to grip life tightly, the more it slips through our fingers. Pause. Let this image rise in your mind. Imagine holding sand in your hand. If you open your palm gently, the sand rests there calmly. But if you squeeze your fist, trying to keep every grain, the sand escapes faster. This is the law of control. What you cling to with fear will eventually leave you. The awakening begins when you see this truth. You realize that control is an illusion. The river of life does not flow because of your will. The seasons do not turn because of your desire. People do not follow your script. They follow their own path. And here is the great suffering. When you live with the belief that you must control everything, you are never at peace. You are always fighting with reality, fighting with people, fighting even with yourself. But the awakened person sees the futility of this fight. They learn to surrender, not in weakness but in wisdom. To surrender means to allow life to move as it is. It means to replace the grip of fear with the openness of trust. Ask yourself, what have I been trying to control that was never in my power? Have you tried to control someone's love for you? Have you tried to control the outcome of every situation? Have you tried to control the opinion of others? And did it bring peace or did it bring exhaustion? The wise one understands. True strength is not about forcing the river to flow your way. It is about learning to swim with the current. When you align with life, when you act with clarity but release attachment to outcomes, then harmony arises. Consider the tree in the storm. A rigid tree that refuses to bend will break, but the bamboo that sways with the wind survives. This is not weakness, it is resilience. Flexibility is a higher form of strength. So, what should you do? Set your intentions, walk your path, act with discipline and focus. But once you have done your part, let go of the need to control every detail. Trust the unfolding of life. This is not blind faith. This is conscious surrender. You accept that the universe is far greater, wiser, and more mysterious than your mind can grasp. Pause now. Breathe deeply. Feel the relief of letting go. The chains of control are heavy, but when you release them, the heart becomes light. The awakened person no longer wastes energy trying to control the uncontrollable. Instead, they place their energy where it truly matters, on self-mastery, on clarity, on presence. And in this letting go, they discover a new kind of freedom, the freedom to live in peace, the freedom to trust the flow of life, the freedom to finally rest, not in control, but in surrender. The habit of complaining. There is a poison that slowly weakens the human spirit. It is not visible to the eye, it is not measured in the body, and yet it drains energy more than any illness. That poison is the habit of complaining. Listen carefully. Complaining is the language of resistance. It is the refusal to accept what is. When we complain, we are telling life, this moment is not enough. This situation should not be happening. Reality must change before I can feel peace. And what happens? The more we complain, the more powerless we feel. Because with every complaint, we feed the illusion that our happiness depends on something outside of us. Pause here. Reflect. How often do you find yourself complaining about the weather, about traffic, about people who do not behave the way you want, about opportunities that you think should have come but did not? The awakened person begins to see that complaining is not harmless. It is a chain that binds the spirit. Each complaint repeats the story. I am a victim. Life controls me. I have no power. But is this the truth? No. The truth is different. You cannot always control what happens outside you, but you can always choose your response within. Complaining is a choice, and so is gratitude. When you practice gratitude, you take back your power. Instead of saying, "Why is life against me?" you begin to ask, "What is life trying to teach me?" Instead of focusing on the problem, you begin to notice the lesson. Consider this. A storm comes. Two people stand in the rain. One says, "Why must it rain today? My plans are ruined." The other says, "The earth is being nourished. The air is fresh. Perhaps I am being guided to slow down." The same storm, the same rain, two different minds, one trapped in complaint, one awakened in gratitude. Now ask yourself, which mind do you carry? Complaining also affects people around you. Energy is contagious. When you complain, you spread heaviness. When you express gratitude, you spread light. Which energy do you want to offer to the world? The practice is simple, but not easy. Each time you feel the urge to complain, pause, breathe. Instead of speaking words of resistance, turn your attention inward and ask, what can I learn here? What can I be grateful for, even now? Slowly, you will notice a shift. Your mind becomes lighter, your heart becomes calmer, and situations that once made you angry will no longer disturb your peace. The awakened person quits the habit of complaining, not because life is always perfect, but because they understand this. Complaining keeps you chained to suffering. Gratitude frees you. So, my friend, the next time you feel that complaint rising in your throat, pause, choose silence, or better, choose gratitude. This is the path of awakening. This is the way of freedom. The fear of change. Among all the obstacles on the path of awakening, perhaps the most subtle and the most powerful is the fear of change. Human beings cling to the familiar. Even when the familiar is painful, uncomfortable, or limiting, we hold onto it because it feels safe. The unknown, on the other hand, feels frightening. We ask ourselves, what if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if the unknown is worse than what I already have? And so we stay. We stay in jobs that do not nourish us. We stay in relationships that no longer grow us. We stay in patterns that quietly destroy us. Not because they are right, but because they are known. Pause. Reflect for a moment. How many times have you resisted a change you knew was necessary, simply because you feared what would come after? The awakened person slowly learns this truth. Change is not the enemy. Change is life itself. Without change, there is no growth. Without change, there is no evolution. Without change, there is no awakening. Look at nature. The caterpillar must dissolve inside its cocoon before it becomes a butterfly. The seed must crack open in the darkness of the soil before it becomes a tree. The night must surrender before the morning light can rise. In every corner of nature, transformation requires change, and sometimes even destruction. So why do we fear it in our own lives? Because the mind craves certainty, the ego clings to control, and yet certainty is only another illusion. Nothing in this world is permanent. Everything is in motion. The awakened path invites you to shift your perspective. Instead of fearing change, welcome it. Instead of resisting the unknown, trust it. Ask yourself, what if this change is not here to break me, but to shape me? What if this unknown is the doorway to my next chapter of growth? Pause. Breathe deeply. Let that question sink into your heart. When you begin to embrace change, you awaken a deeper courage within yourself. You stop asking life for guarantees. Instead, you walk with faith, with openness, with surrender. And here is the mystery. The very moment you stop resisting change, it stops feeling like an enemy. It begins to feel like a teacher, a guide, even a friend. Think of the great masters, the wise ones who walked before us. None of them stayed fixed where they were. They all stepped into uncertainty. They all walked into the unknown. And it was through change that they awakened. So if you feel change approaching in your life, do not run. Do not cling to what is fading. Instead, bow to the impermanence of all things. Trust that what leaves you creates space for what must enter. The awakened person no longer asks, how can I avoid change? Instead, they ask, how can I walk through this change with grace, with courage, with trust? And in that shift, fear loses its power. The chains of the past dissolve, and the soul finally begins to fly free.